Hi, everyone. This is Dr. Mike, host of the free iTunes podcast, Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. But that's not why I'm here today. This is another Saving Savvy episode. And I apologize for this headset. I'm in my office. This is really the only microphone I have here. So it's the best I can do. Anyways, this is part three of a six-part series on how I lost over 100 pounds without dieting. So part one talked about my long history and battles with trying to lose weight that went back into childhood. Part two talked about the importance of stress reduction and how I really modified my life and thought outside the box. This part is going to be on how food changed in my life. So I have to give you some background because there's a perfect storm that happened that actually caused this. And one of the things I would like to emphasize, something that I've learned in life, is sometimes good things turn out bad, sometimes bad things turn out good. So I tend to not put a value on events in my life and say, oh, this was a good event, this was a bad event for that reason. I think most events are just events, and it's how we approach them and what we do with them that determines the ultimate impact of that event. So a number of years ago, a bunch of events came together in what would be called a perfect storm that, at least on the surface, seemed to be not a good series of events. So what happened? Well, a number of years ago, we were at a point in our house where we really had to completely gut and replace two bathrooms and had to do a bunch of other work. And I called on a contractor who had worked with us before. He did a really good job, and he came out and he started doing the demolition and the construction of these projects. And he's a really good guy, and did a great job. But for many months, our house was in disarray, and literally, I would have to go to three or four rooms just to get dressed in the morning because I might have my socks here and my shirts there, and it was just an absolute nightmare. Dirt and dust in the house, and things that you just can't avoid when you're doing construction, no matter how careful you are. Noise. So, so that was going on. And that job, he had promised me that I would have two functional bathrooms, that the two bathrooms that he was doing would be functional by Thanksgiving. So literally at 4 o'clock on the Wednesday before Thanksgiving, he was installing toilets. So wonderful guy. In fact, we'll talk more about him later on in the next episode, and really kept to his word. But you can imagine the stress of that happening. I mean, four other families were coming to stay in my house for days on that Thanksgiving weekend. They were starting to arrive on that Wednesday night, and the toilet was going in at 4 o'clock. Well, take that stress and add the stress of having four families staying in my house and having to get meals for them and put together Thanksgiving and all of that. I love my wife's family dearly. I am so glad that they come and spend Thanksgiving with us every year. But there's a certain amount of work to it. And early on in our marriage, it was clear that the big preparation, the turkey, the potatoes, all the stuff that's done in like mass quantity really stressed my wife. So I've taken that over. So I do the turkey, the dressing, the mashed potatoes, the gravy, all the stuff that's kind of last minute. I make sure the stuff goes in the oven. It has to get reheated, all the other foods and all of that jazz, and kind of coordinate that activity. So that's always a stress. So that was going on. Because we had so much chaos in the house, we were not really prepared that year. And so at 10 o'clock at night, I was at Walmart because we have a 24-hour Walmart. I was at Walmart buying last minute groceries and extra towels and light bulbs for light bulbs that had burnt out in the house. And he had to go back after this, after doing this massive grocery shopping, and start cleaning the house for company. That was a stress. But the biggest stress that we had was we had two cats. One cat always had behavioral problems and literally had destroyed countless thousands of dollars of stuff. I mean, probably $5,000 worth of flooring, like oak flooring alone, because the cat would basically urinate on everything. And we had done all sorts of behavioral changes and different litter and pheromones and you name it. And really, I had gone to a vet, and the vet said, this is not solvable. You need to put your cat down. And we were in the process of putting our cat down when my daughter said, why don't we call the shelter? It was a no-kill shelter. They agreed to take the cat back on the day after Thanksgiving, but we had to pay a large sum of money for them to do this, and they really guilted and shamed us like we were these terrible people when we had done everything we could possibly do. And you can imagine we loved this cat. That was probably the biggest stress. So you take all of these stresses together, And something unusual that never happens to me happened. I really didn't want to eat for a couple of days. I just was too stressed to even eat. Now, I performed all my functions, I made the dinners and everything, but I just could not eat. And so this was an opportunity, I thought, to give up sugar. If you look back at my first episodes, episode one of the sixth series, you will find out that I became pretty much addicted to sugar. I preferred concentrated forms of sugar to all forms of eating, and that included things like meat and stuff. So I would eat anything like ice cream, cakes, cookies, some candy, anything that was concentrated sugar, that's what I went for. And this was a great opportunity because, of course, Thanksgiving is the gateway then to the Christmas holiday, and it's just bakery and cookies and nonstop and all that kind of stuff from that point on. So my wife was so shocked that I had given up sugar and that I wasn't eating for a couple of days. She was actually suggesting, well, have a couple pieces of candy at least or something. I'm like, nope, I'm not going to do it. So what was the result of that? Did I go through a sugar withdrawal? I did. For me, it was mostly craving sugar. I just started craving it, but that actually ebbed after a while. How soon did I see benefits? Really, many weeks after I started to see things that I could say were discernible benefits. And so, what actually happened? The strange thing that happened was by giving up sugar, I actually started to just naturally lose weight. In the past, I had tried all these diets and everything else, and I couldn't lose weight really following a diet. Now, just giving up sugar in concentrated forms, my weight started to just fall off naturally. Another interesting thing that happened is my taste changed. And now things that I had no interest in, I had interested in. Believe it or not, I started to like salads. I started to like raw vegetables. I started to like cooked vegetables, things that I didn't like at all. My taste for breads changed. Where I used to like the highly processed white bushy bread, I now started to like much more hearty, whole grain breads. And in fact, I liked bread less than I liked it before in general. I ate less bread. I eat some protein, that kind of stayed the same, maybe a little less. But I saw this dramatic change. And as my weight started dropping and I became even more agile and my inflammatory autoimmune problems got even calmer, my energy started to go up. I became even more mentally clear and I started to want to do things. Because before, honestly, if I would go to the Target and just do grocery shopping and some other stuff, I would be so exhausted that I would have to go home and lie down. I just could not. There was too much energy. Well, now I could go to Walmart and go for a bike ride afterwards if I chose to. Go for a bike ride. Holy cow, I hadn't done that for years. And I was able to do that with this process. Now, your mileage may vary, but what I know is that for me personally, sugar was extremely toxic, especially in high forms. And it's in everything. But I avoided the major sources of sugar and I tried to be more reasonable with the lesser sources of sugar. Now, I eat a ton of fruit. You'll say, fruit has sugar in it. It does. But I think that when I eat the fruit, for whatever reason, the fiber and everything else in that fruit seems to balance things out. I don't drink a lot of fruit juice because big glasses of fruit juice are basically sugar water, to be honest with you. Do I eat things like, no calorie things? Am I totally into no calorie? I only eat low calorie items that I find palatable. So a lot of low calorie food I think tastes like garbage, but I'll drink a little Crystal Light just because that's what's around the house. I usually prefer like coffee, tea, or water. I do eat a particular drink, use a no fat salad dressing, Kraft zesty Italian, no fat, just because I think it tastes good. And why should I have something that has a couple hundred calories for a couple tablespoons when I can have something that has maybe 30 calories for a couple tablespoons? So I'll do that. So if the food tastes good, I will do that. Do I do any artificial sweeteners beyond like Crystal Light? On occasion, I'll have a diet pop, not very often. On occasion, I'll use a little bit of the Splenda in oatmeal just because I think it tastes better, just a single packet. So I do a little of that. I think sometimes these artificial sweeteners also can really screw up your desire for sugar. And there's some evidence that eating a lot of artificial sweeteners really can have a negative impact on weight loss. So I don't do a lot of that, but I do some. So it's not this sort of super regimented regime. And by making these changes, the amazing thing was this cascading effect. I changed this, which changed my my eating patterns just kind of automatically, which increased my energy, which made me want to move more, which made me want to do more, which cleared up my mind more. And you see this impact happening, boom, 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 boom. Now, how do I do this? Am I going to do this for the rest of my life? I do it one day at a time. So today I've made a commitment to myself. I'm not going to eat sugar today. Will I eat sugar tomorrow? I can't tell you, but it's very likely that I'll make that commitment again. Have I ever had sugar? A couple of times for various reasons. So one time I had worked out. I was really hypoglycemic. I was actually shaky. I went through a McDonald's. I thought, what can I order? I got, I was kind of in my head, like, what can I order? I need to order something. I get to get some food in me. And I ordered the oatmeal, which I thought would be a healthy choice. It really was just like a little sugar bomb. It was like maple something. I didn't even like it, but I ate it because I needed it. And really, I felt the impact of that for a couple of days for my particular system where I really had to get really back on board with the sugar thing. I actually started craving sugar again. It was really kind of scary. So I have had episodes like that, but few and far between. And that one event moved into this. So, and all that terrible stuff that happened, all that stress that I was under led to the good thing of not really wanting to eat, which allowed me to give up sugar. So I guess the two things here is look at your eating patterns. I would say if there's a way that you can shift to healthier eating, that's good. Even if you're eating a lot of junk snack food that is not sweet, I bet there's sugar in it. And it's probably not, it should not be your main dietary source. Again, this is all my opinion, not medical advice. So if you get some time, please give my podcast a listen. It's called Psychiatric Secrets Revealed with Dr. Mike. It's myself and my wife. I'm a psychiatrist. She's a psychologist. It's kind of interesting. You can find it on iTunes. If you want to read more about me, read my experimental writing blog called drmikekuna.com, drmikekuna.com. I'm actually posting some of these videos on there just, because I can only produce so much content, but there's a lot of writing on there too. If you like this channel, please subscribe. I mean, I would love to have a lot of viewers. I don't know if that will ever happen, but that'd be cool. And if you like this video, give me a thumbs up because that makes me want to do more videos. So take care, everyone, and I will hopefully see you back on episode 4 of this 6-part episode of how I lost over 100 pounds without dieting. Bye-bye.